This is a video I've been meaning to do for quite a while, because this particular fanfiction that I'm reviewing right here is something really special to me personally. Because, if you've been following my channel, you know that I mean, I can like Naruto if I ignore all of its many problems. In fact, I'm, reading the manga consistently and watching the anime and so on. It has a lot of problems for me personally, but if I just turn my brain off, I can still really enjoy, the series. But this fanfiction is really special to me because this is what Naruto should have been. This is what the main series, the anime and manga, this is what it should have been. This is one of those rare fanfictions that is able to do everybody right. It's able to keep so much of the established continuity there, but still do great, character interaction, great character development, which is something Naruto seriously, really lacks. And basically, the way I can sum up this fanfiction is it's Naruto with all of the bullshit cut out. This is what Naruto should have been. I will even go as far as to say this is canon Naruto for me personally. The main anime and manga is non-canon. This fanfiction is the canon Naruto, as far as I'm concerned. I will go with that far. And it has so many good things working for it, mostly because it fixes a lot of the glaring problems of not just the Naruto series, but of other fanfiction and the whole what-if kind of genre, let's say. The way it fixes the what-if genre is that a lot of fanfictions and a lot of official what-if storylines just have this change that happens for absolutely no reason. It just happens for the sake of happening, and then other changes happen along the way, but it has no real consistency. There is no reason for the initial change to happen. It just happens because we're doing a what if. Like a character's personality just completely shifts, and then they do something else from the main story, just so we can get a kind of what if this guy did this instead of doing that kind of a thing. And the basic premise of this fanfiction is that, in this continuity, Kushina's Toby isn't the one who attacks the Leaf Village. Now, bear in mind, this fanfiction was written before that whole revelation was made in the manga and stuff, so some things are changed. So Toby wasn't the one who unleashed the QB. In this continuity, Kushina's seal failed and the QB escaped on its own, and also Itachi didn't slaughter his clan, because they were planning a coup. He did it for other reasons, which I'm going to get to at the end of the video. But basically, after the 4th Hokage seals the yang half of the nine-tailed fox inside of him and he passes away, Kakashi decides that since he's lost everybody, he's lost Obito, he's lost Rin, he's lost Minato, who's pretty much the only father figure he had left, he decides that he's going to take care of his master's son, because a lot of people know that he's the container of Kurama. They're going to be out for him. He's going to have a really hard life, and he doesn't want basically his father figure's son to suffer that kind of life, so he decides to raise Naruto by himself. And this makes a lot of sense, and the writer does a pretty good job of explaining why Kakashi feels this way. If you know Kakashi's relationship with Minato and Rin and Obito, you'll understand why he feels this way, and in a lot of ways, this makes more sense to me than in the main series. Because in the main series, Naruto is just left to live alone, and he's left completely to run rampant. He has no adult supervision, and you would think that the Jinchuriki of Kurama, one of the tailed beasts for God's sake, would have some kind of guardian looking after him and stuff. But no, in the main series, they just let Naruto run wild, and if something happens, fuck it, we'll deal with it after. And it just makes more sense for me that someone like Kakashi, high-level shinobi and stuff, would actually take care of Naruto and look after him 24/7 to make sure nothing doesn't happen to the kid and the fox accidentally gets out. So, from this change, a lot of the main storyline later on progresses kind of like it does in the main book. Not the main book, the manga and the anime. But several changes, happen. A change from the continuity is that if you know the history of Hinata Hyuga, you'll know that when she was young, a ninja from the Hidden Lightning Village, from the Land of Lightning, he basically tried to abduct her so that the village Hidden in Lightning could create their own kind of Hyuga clan. Now, in the main manga, Hiashi, Neji's father, is the one who killed this guy, and he was executed because of this, and Neji has this whole grudge against the main family because of this in the main series. In this series, Naruto and Hinata are friends from childhood. He kind of helps her get over her shyness. He helps her, become a strong, character, and he kind of helps her become a good character, which is something she's not in the main series, and that's another big plus I must mention. And at the night Hinata is kidnapped, Naruto is there at the compound. He tries to stop the guy. He nearly gets himself killed, but he releases enough the QB power to basically take the guy out. And then Neji's father isn't executed, Naruto beats the shit out of the Hidden Lightning Ninja. He goes back to his village, in shambles, ashamed, scarred for life. And Neji's father never gets executed because of it. And we kind of see, what would Neji be like if he didn't have that angst he had in the main series? He has a pretty good relationship with Hinata. He takes care of her. He trains with her. He kind of has a good friendship with Naruto, and that's one of the great things about this series, because these changes do happen because one change has a different kind of effect on on different people. Since Naruto is the son of Kakashi Hatake, he's, more respected in the village. He makes friends more easily, like instead of being a social outcast like he is in the main series, because of his respected father, he's able to make friends with Sakura and Ino and Shikamaru and Shoji, and you get to kind of see them early on in their academy days, and how, how Naruto kind of gets some of Kakashi's personality traits. And this is how What If should be done. This is how these kinds of storylines should be done. One change happens, and then you kind of keep it close as you can to continuity, but you still are able to do these kind of cool twists. And there's this real sense of camaraderie between these characters, because this is a big problem I had with the main series as well, is that you never really got a sense that these people kind of knew each other, that they were kind of friends. Like, yeah, they beat you over the head with flashbacks about it, but you never really saw them interact during the main series enough to actually believe that these people were friends. But in this series, you see the Jonin, like Asuma, Ebisu, Kakashi guy, you see all of them kind of interact, you see them interact with their students, you see all the Genin interact before they become Genin, and then you kind of see them grow up until they're like 12 or 13 and they officially become ninja. And you really get this sense that these people know each other, these people are all friends, they have their, problems and stuff, but because they, kind of hang out, they get over them. And it fixes, this character interaction, which was always another big problem I had with Naruto. And this character interaction, the way these characters, talk to each other, it couldn't be as well done as it is here if the characters didn't all sound right. Naruto still kind of comes off as kind of that idiot and stuff, but because he has Kakashi's tutelage, he's able to become like a rival of Sasuke. He's not dead last like he is in the main series. I mean, he sucks at tests and stuff, and he's dead last in that, but he's like a real rival for Sasuke. He's the guy who's pushing Sasuke to go forward, and he's the guy really, challenging his abilities. And, Kakashi kind of likes to screw with people. He kind of has that, he acts cool and hip next to Guy, but when he's with Kakashi, he acts like Guy, and he kind of gets on both their nerves. And it's like this stuff that adds a lot of, it adds a lot of fun. And this whole series has a great fun factor. It knows when to be fun, but it knows when to be serious and stuff. And it couldn't be as well done as it is if the characters didn't all sound right. And everyone sounds right in a good way, because they start off kind of how they are in the main series, but then we actually get something Naruto doesn't have, and that's character development. Characters start at one place, and as the series progresses, they learn, they grow, and they actually develop as people. Hinata kind of starts as the shy Hinata we all know, but as the series progresses, she gets more confidence. She still has that stutter, but because of her, friendship with Naruto, he kind of pushes her to, work harder, and she becomes a genuinely likable character. Sakura, she gets great character development because that whole genjutsu thing of hers is actually explained. In the main series, they kept on saying, oh, and Sakura has a genjutsu, she's a genjutsu, genjutsu type ninja, but they never did anything with that. Sorry guys, the video kind of broke up here because my sister came back home, and a bunch of crazy stuff went on, so the video is going to break up here, but I'm going to continue immediately where I left off. So I was talking about genjutsu and Sakura. Now, the main series made a big deal about how Sakura was a genjutsu type ninja. Kakashi mentioned it several times, and she did show some skill with genjutsu, and now I always thought that she was going to be the genjutsu user of the main guys, because we really didn't have that, because most of the guys either focus on ninjutsu or a few of them on taijutsu, and Tenten kind of specializes in weaponry and stuff, but we never really had a genjutsu user in the main cast. In fact, genjutsu was pretty much kind of shafted throughout the entire series. I know taijutsu's been shafted too, in like the final arc, like ninjutsu and senjutsu is the only stuff that's actually worth a fuck now. But it always annoyed me that Itachi was pretty much the only character who consistently used genjutsu as a weapon. He was the only character who actually bothered to even use the thing, at a regular basis. And this series kind of fixes that, where Kakashi sees that Sakura is genjutsu user. He immediately goes and finds her some kind of weapon she can specialize into, because Naruto gets the White Fang's chakra saber, that badass chakra saber that Kakashi had in that flashback arc, the one that got busted and he never bothered to fix it. Yeah, he gives it to Naruto. Sasuke gets his own sword where he can channel electricity through it. That's pretty cool. And Sakura gets her own weapons. She learns what her element is, and she trains her ass off to become a real kunoichi, and she actually develops as a character. She kind of stops being like this kind of bit insecure girl herself and this kind of fangirl of Sasuke, although the fangirl part is really, 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 really towed down. It's nowhere near as annoying as in the main series, and in fact, it's kind of barely brought up. I mean, she does have some fangirl moments here and there, but by the end of the first series, she becomes like the Sakura of early Shippuden. She's pretty confident. She knows a lot of different jutsu, like water style, genjutsu. She's pretty powerful in her own right, and she has her own weaponry she specializes in, which she is very proficient in. And yeah, if you haven't already guessed, the character development is all great. And again, I was going to go on to some of the other stuff, but again, I got to mention Sasuke in this, because Sasuke, he's kind of like he is in the regular series, except his whole friendship with his teammates is actually explored here. In the main series, I never got the sense that any of these people were friends. I never, ever got that. But in this series, Sasuke actually, starts forming bonds with these people. He starts, getting friends with them. He actually kind of starts liking Sakura when she starts taking her job as a kunoichi seriously, which is another thing that the main series ignored. When Sasuke was talking about his dreams and stuff, he said that he wants to rebuild his clan, but that never gets brought up again. And this series kind of actively acknowledges it. He pretty much says that he doesn't just want to marry any random stupid chick that's willing to suck his balls just because he's Sasuke Uchiha and he's a pretty boy or whatever. He wants to be with a serious kunoichi who isn't some stupid fangirl, but one who's smart, she's determined, and she can take care of herself. And when Sakura starts becoming like that, he kind of starts liking her. He starts warming up to her. Him and Naruto are like rivals, but they're also friends. There are like a couple of chapters where they're just training together, talking about regular stuff like real friends would be. And if Sasuke does eventually down the road betray them, his betrayal is going to be infinitely better in this universe than the regular one, because in the regular one, none of these people were ever friends, and them talking about how they were friends, I never saw it, ever, at all. But here, if if the writer decides to have Sasuke defect like he does in the main series, which I think is going to happen, that's actually going to be kind of shocking because he's legitimately breaking off these other bonds with these people he's formed. Like, hell, he even has a great relationship with Kakashi here, because Kakashi keeps telling him about how Kakashi used to be like Sasuke when he was younger. He keeps training him with the Sharingan, how to use lightning style. He tells him all about Obito Uchiha, and he kind of helps Sasuke get out of his shell and become, kind of nicer towards his teammates. And it's this kind of stuff that the main series lacks, and it all works just perfectly. Now, another thing that annoys me about the main series of Naruto that gets fixed here is God, I can't believe I'm blanking on, is the exposition. Now, Naruto has a big exposition problem whenever a character does anything, and I mean anything, the whole storyline just stops, and they're like, oh, well, you see, Lee hit Gaara in this rib at this diameter, at this wind velocity, so that the geometrical bullshit can explain the more blah, blah, blah. You get the point. It just kills the pacing of the storyline. In this series, the writer knows that, look, the people who are going to read this are not Naruto noobs. They're not just people who don't know about Naruto and they're just stumbling through this. Maybe a couple of them are, but he knows that the people reading this, they know this shit. They know what chakra natures are. They know how chakra works. They know what the Rasengan is or what the Chidori is. They know, he knows that we know, and he doesn't spend a bunch of time explaining shit we don't even know. He doesn't ever stop the fight to state, obvious things. Like, a great example of this is when Madara activates his majestic flamethrower technique, which is like this big, oh my fucking god, I'm gonna incinerate you all fire-style jutsu that he unleashes on the 4th division. And then there's this one guy who just stands there and he says, his jutsu spans a wide area. And it's so stupid because you can clearly see this flame is probably big enough to incinerate the biggest football stadium on the face of the earth. And then we have just this random retard explaining shit that is so painfully obvious, a 2-year-old could understand that. There's none of that in this series. The writer knows that the people who are reading this, they know Naruto. They understand what chakra is, they understand what jutsu are. He knows that we're knowledgeable about this stuff. If we weren't, we wouldn't be going out of our way to read Naruto fanfiction. That's just a fact of life. And I'm glad that he doesn't waste any time over-explaining stuff to us. And when he does explain stuff, it feels natural because it's explaining stuff to the characters themselves. Like Naruto learns from Hinata after they steal a scroll. She tells him, that if you use shadow clones, you can get information from them, and that can help you in training. And it's that kind of exposition that feels natural because it's giving enough information to the characters where it doesn't feel like beating us over the head like the main series does, and it feels like necessary information the characters need, for their training or to enhance their abilities or to progress the story forward. This is proper use of exposition, and I love it. It's great. Another thing that gets fixed here is the flashbacks. Now, flashbacks rarely ever happen, but when they do, they mean something. Because there's this scene where Sasuke's like starting to really bond with his teammates, then he gets kind of a small flashback to what happened that night when the Uchiha were slaughtered. And then he kind of remembers some good times with his friends, and that kind of gets him conflicted. And flashbacks are pretty rare because this series literally starts with Naruto's birth and the attack of the fox, and it goes all the way up to the end of the Chunin exams where the Sand Village and the Sound Village invade the Leaf Village. And so there isn't really enough room to use flashbacks, but when they are there, they feel necessary and they feel natural. It's not another thing that Kishimoto does in the main series where flashbacks just keep going on and on and on and on and on. And these are things we've seen a billion times and we don't need to see them again. And I'm glad that this is another thing he fixes, and I'm so happy about it. Now, at the beginning of the video, I stated that there are some continuity changes. I explained what happened with Neji's dad, and so forth. Because this series was written before that whole revelation about Obito being Toby, there are some things that are different. Now, the big one is Itachi. Now, in the main series, Itachi killed his clan because they were planning a coup, and it was going to lead to a world war, and Itachi wasn't going to let that shit fly. In this series, Itachi is still that cold and distant person, but we really get inside his head. Itachi is disgusted by his village. He values power over all else, and he feels disgusted that a clan who calls themselves, the greatest, most powerful clan in the world is like cowering in fear of a little baby boy just because he has some kind of demon inside of him, and they're planning his assassination. And he feels disgusted at this, and he is bored out of his mind. He just hates his life because he has no one to push him forward. And then he kind of meets up with the Akatsuki on a mission with the Anbu, and they basically, tell him you can get even greater power. You will meet people who can rival you, who can make you more powerful than you already are. You just gotta kill your whole clan for it. And there's a pretty good explanation for why he spares Sasuke. In the main series, he spares Sasuke because he loves him and he just can't bring himself up to kill him. In this version, he doesn't kill Sasuke because he notices something in Sasuke that he doesn't have inside himself. Now, Itachi believes that a shinobi who kills his emotions is able to gain great power. But there are several times where he's just observing Sasuke when he trains, and he sees that the angrier Sasuke gets, the more hatred he has, Sasuke becomes more powerful. Like, there's this one scene where Sasuke is like attacking this wooden dummy and he just can't break it, and then after Itachi gives him a short speech about how he's pathetic, and if he ever wants to get out of his shadow, he needs to hate him, he needs to become stronger, that makes Sasuke angry, and he's able to break the thing in one punch. And then a thought crosses Itachi's mind. He leaves his little brother alive because he wants to test something. Who can attain greater power? A shinobi who completely kills his emotions, or a shinobi who is filled with hatred and he allows his emotions to give him more power? And he wants to test this theory out on Sasuke, and that's why he leaves him alive, and that's why he's going to give him years and years and years of preparation time up until the day they will clash, and we will see what's better, a shinobi who lets his emotions give him power, or a shinobi who kills his emotions because he thinks they're a weakness. Now, a lot of people who kind of like the sympathetic Itachi, myself included, are probably going to find this a bit hard to believe, but think about Itachi like you knew him before the main series. Before you found out about the revelation that he was actually a double agent working for Danzo and the Council of the Leaf Village. And it's really great, and it really kind of works and makes sense because we really get inside his head. It's not like he just does it and we don't understand why, because we spend several chapters just with Itachi, just him thinking about stuff. We kind of see things from his perspective, and we can understand why he feels this way. And it's really, really well written, and it's really fascinating, and it's a continuity change I'm willing to forgive. Usually I like it when if storylines, kind of do their own thing, but they kind of stick to canon and so on. But when they make changes like these, it works, especially if it's as well written as it is here. And if there's any negative thing I would like, if there's any negative thing I can possibly say about this series, is that there is kind of a lot of telling instead of showing, and that is kind of a problem. There are sometimes large chunks of chapters where he's just telling us stuff instead of showing us. And granted, the chapters are pretty damn long, I gotta admit. I think they're at least 4 or 5, maybe even 6 pages long, which is kind of big by fanfic standards. They're very, very thick, and there's a lot of telling and not a lot, but there is a fair amount of telling instead of showing, and I think he could have fixed that. But in the second series, The Return of Naruto Hatake, which is like the sequel to this one, where the storyline continues, of course, this problem kind of starts going away, and you can tell that the writer is finally, really hitting his stride, and it gets better on. And, I don't know if I've ever done a review like this where I'm just sort of just praising the fuck out of something, but this is just great. This is what Naruto should have been. This is Naruto with all the stupid bullshit taken out and replaced by stuff that really, really works. I am so pissed off that this is not the main series, because if Naruto was like this, if the main manga and anime was this level of quality and storytelling, I think Naruto would go down in history as a truly great manga. No, well, I don't know if it would go down as like a masterpiece like Death Note or Cowboy Bebop or something like that, but I think it would go down in history as more than just a fad, which sadly it's going to go. If it was written like this, I think Naruto would be remembered as a genuinely well-written and smart, funny, and action-packed shonen manga/anime. As it stands right now, the main series is probably gonna die out and just gonna be remembered as a fad from the early 2000s to the mid 2010s, I guess. And that's kind of sad because, wow, when I read something this good that's able to fix all the problems of the main series, and I just look at the main series that just squandered all of the potential that's realized here in a work of fan fiction, that just blows my mind. Like, I highly recommend that you guys check this out. This is just, if you're someone who kind of likes Naruto but wants to read Naruto, the non-stupid bullshit edition, this is what you need to read. It's just the complete package. Great character development, great characterization, exciting fights, fantastic humor. There are so many times I just laughed my ass off during this book. The Anko is spectacular. That's all I'm gonna say. But she's amazing, and I love her. And it has great rereadability. I've read this like 5 or 6 times now, and I'm not bored of it. This is easily something that I can just keep reading like every month or something, or every few months, and I just don't get bored of it. It just always stays fresh and good and new. And yeah, I'm gushing over this series. I'm going to leave the link below to the first chapter. I hope you guys seriously consider checking this out because, man, this is Naruto at its best, and it's a fan fiction. So yeah, I highly recommend that you guys check Naruto Hatake out. You really can't go wrong with this. If you're someone who has a lot of problems with Naruto like myself, you will love this to death, my friend. Believe me when I tell you that much.